My dearest, I hope this sweet tale will lure you to sleep, or put a smile on your face. So please, relax, sit back, pull up a pillow, and I shall weave for you a tale passed down for centuries. Though this tale may seek a new ending. Long ago there lived a young man who had once desired many things in life: love, wealth, happiness, and on one fine day received each of these. For he had met a sweet young girl who brought a wealth of new emotions into his life. She had been sitting in a nearby library, with her nose tucked between the pages of a book, lost in her own little world. After finally deciding to approach her and ask her about the book, he couldn't help but to linger on each word that spilled from her mouth. After getting to know her better, he saw what a kind, sweet, beautiful person she was. As lovely as the summer wind and as sweet as springtime pears, so the legend says. He spent each day longing to see her, and the times they spent together were priceless. Years had passed since these happy times, and the young man was now graying. His time with her had been all too short-lived. He looked back on these times fondly and held a commitment within his heart that she would be his only love. This fellow now lived within a small town, of which rumors easily exerted themselves, and all the townspeople believe whatever they wish. His house sat just beyond an old cemetery, though he surrounded himself with a beautiful garden and busied himself feeding the birds who came to visit every now and then. He was a kind, outgoing, once respected man of dignity, though he had never married and lived all alone. He would never venture far from town, though despite his good nature, the neighbors would gossip about him. "Isn't he kind of odd?" the women would whisper. "He seems to be too self-absorbed, too selfish to marry, it seems." "Has he lost it?" men would mutter among themselves. These rumors were spread throughout the town, until few wanted to deal with him. The town began to believe that he was crazy, and in this way something far from true was now believed. But indeed, he was far from mad. Instead, he was simply sad and lonely, living on a hope to see his loved one once more. But, you see, that was far from possible, for the maiden was just as madly in love with him as he was with her, and she wished to live the rest of her life with him. But many years ago she had turned gravely ill and passed away. At that same time, the young man had decided to move behind the cemetery in which his love was buried, and would check on her every single day. He'd leave her incense and flowers, longing for the day when he could join her once more. He lived in his memories of times spent with her and the days when he was happy. Time passed, and the story had grown old, so much so that almost everyone who had heard the story had forgotten. They could no longer remember the man's devotion, nor the cause of his sadness, and instead had made him out to be that which he was least: mad. They took care not to walk near him, nor pass him in the street. Whenever they needed to go near his house, they made it a game to run as fast as they could, and became terrified of him. Whenever he went to the market, they would hurry away, whispering behind his back. Though of these scared children, there was a young kid named Cato, who was a kind spirit and refused to believe the rumors without proof. They only wondered why this man looked so sad and longed to see him smile. Some days they would walk by his house, and if they saw him feeding the birds or sitting near the window, they would wave, hoping he would see them. But he never did. One year, just after midnight on New Year's Eve, Cato dressed up and prepared to make the first trip to the temple of the new year, in order to wish for a good coming year. Though, just as they were about to enter the temple, they had seen a light that absolutely took their breath away. The night air was cold, the wind brisk, the moon was illuminating the sky in a bright light. But next to the temple door, a white butterfly hovered, its wings shimmering brightly into the moonlight. Cato gasped in wonder. A butterfly in winter? It flitted away as Cato hurried home. They rushed into the house, only to receive a peculiar look from their mom. Cato's hair was windblown, their cheeks rosy and winded from the trek. Cato, what's the matter? Their mom cried in worry. You'll never believe this, they explained, trying to catch their breath. I can't believe it, but I saw it. There was a white butterfly just outside the temple. Cato's mom gasped in shock at this news, questioning if they were certain upon seeing the butterfly. Really? A white butterfly? Yeah, in winter too, Cato excitedly answered. Their mother led them from the house. Cato curiously followed, until recognizing their path to lead to the old cemetery. Yet they continued past, and Cato began to wonder why their mom would want to visit the old man. Perhaps it was only to wish him Happy New Year's. But if so, how could it be connected to the white butterfly? Or is it? They knocked on the door of his house, but to no avail. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, the door creaked open, as a now very pale man opened it. He seemed so thin and frail, as though he could fall to the ground at any given moment. Cato's mom led him to his bed and tried to make him comfortable. He looked as if death was soon approaching. Cato thought they saw something flitting at the end of their vision, only to notice the white butterfly appear. It flew just above the man before resting on his chest. Cato tried as he might to shoo it away, to give the man some peace. But no matter how many times he brushed the butterfly away, it just came back. Finally, Cato's mom put her arm on their shoulder, asking them to watch. As a nearby clock chimed the nearest hour, the room seemed to dim into darkness. Except for the butterfly's wings appeared to glow. Cato squinted at the light, seemed to dance, and the butterfly itself seemed to take on a new shape altogether. The humanoid form took flight from the room, grasping hands with another form. As they left the room, it became clear, and the butterfly was gone. Cato stared at their mother and asked, "Did you see that? Where did it go?" To this, their mom just shrugged, as though she saw nothing unusual. The butterfly, it just flew outside. It's okay. But Cato grew more curious, and finally decided to ask their mom about the man and who he really was, only to be told of the lovers long departed, and how he waited each day for his loved one to return. Ever since that day, Cato believed to have witnessed the girl's return and the reunited lovers leaving in each other's arms for another world in which they can live out their happiness. The end.